and thank you for listening in to CLDF Chatter. To give you a quick overview, CLDF is a national charity which supports families whose child has a childhood liver disease, and as part of the charity we have a young people's service which provides support to 11 to 24-year-olds living with a liver condition. The Young People's Service has an online group called Hive and Hive Plus on Facebook, which enables members to connect online and share experiences. I am the Young People's Digital Engagement Officer at CLDF, Louise.
And today we would like to give a warm welcome to Charlotte, who is a young person who has been involved and supported by the charity. So Charlotte, do you want to tell us about yourself?
Hello, thank you so much for having me today. My name's Charlotte and I'm 16 years old, and at age 11 I was diagnosed with a rare and progressive form of liver disease called primary sclerosing cholangitis. If I'm honest, it's been a rollercoaster of a journey to say the least. I'm now preparing to do my GCSEs and move on to sixth form before pursuing my career in radiography.
Radiography? How interesting. That's a big event, isn't it? Yeah,
and that was led on from being in hospital, so...
Oh, really? Oh, is that what's inspired you to go into that then?
Yeah.
Oh, well, it's a great ambition to have, and obviously we wish you all the best with it. So
thank you.
It'll be really interesting to find out today about your liver journey and your achievements and the challenges that you face along it. So I've got some quick fire questions for you then, Charlotte. Name 5 words that describe your liver journey.
Life-changing, hopeless, motivating, almost like making a comeback, and weirdly almost inspirational to me and as well to others, and seeing like the impact it has on others.
So one of them was life-changing then. So what would you say in your liver journey has been life-changing for you then? How would you describe that?
Probably in a way both positive and negative. Obviously negative, having to deal with it day to day, and obviously I'm sure you'll know all the negatives that happen, or going into hospital, and just generally having that fact that you have that liver disease. But also positive, like there's so many positives I can think, and all the opportunities that have come out from having liver disease that I probably would never have thought would have happened.
Yeah, you wouldn't have got those opportunities if you say the journey hadn't been the way it has for you. So let's explore the hopeless part then. Why would you describe it as hopeless sometimes?
I would probably say, because I went quite a while without a diagnosis, probably 3-4 months I went without a diagnosis, and obviously not knowing, almost they knew something was wrong with me with my liver, but not what was wrong, and they didn't know how to treat it.
Yeah, so you went a long time without a diagnosis then. So I can imagine that was it quite stressful?
Similarly, like, yes, you know you've got something wrong with you in your liver, but you don't know what the cause is, because they really struggled to find where the cause came from, whether it was something just appeared out of the blue or whether it was something I'd inherited. They still, to this day, don't really know. So through parts of, like, at the moment when I'm going through, like, episodes and stuff, and I go, why am I having this episode? And why is this happening at this time? Like, probably in the most inconvenient time ever. It's almost hopeless in that time, because I go, well, I've not got any idea of where the next step is. I don't know what's happening next. Don't know what it's going to lead to.
Yeah. And like you say, it's almost like we're exploring the positives and negatives. So yeah, it's great that you've been honest in that sense, and you have said, yes, sometimes your liver journey could be hopeless, or it could be an inspiration, or you've got big achievements from it. So yeah, we'll speak about that more as we find out more about your journey. So Charlotte, I know that you have mentioned, and obviously being a part of CLDF, that you was diagnosed in about year 6, wasn't you?
Yeah, I was the summer of year 6, so I was 11 then.
So how was it being diagnosed as a young child, nearly adolescent, ideally, wasn't you, at that age? Yeah, you're about 11,
to go into secondary.
12? Yeah?
Yeah.
So how was that? Obviously, you living almost a childhood without a condition, to then finding out you'd got this liver disease.
Yeah, it was very hard, because obviously I knew what my life was before and what almost like a normal life was, and for that to be taken away from like such a young age almost, and in like such a key part of your life when you're going from primary to secondary, and it's like this massive step in your life, and everyone goes on about it, like you're moving schools, you're making a massive transition, you're really maturing as a person. It's incredibly hard, and nobody in my year, in like year 6, really understood, well, obviously other like my close friends, while I was off for school for 3 months, and then like in and out like for half a day, and then no, not in for like a week and stuff. And because it was so new to me, I didn't really want to explain what was wrong with me, because even then I didn't know what was wrong with me. I really couldn't explain, like, yes, I've got this liver disease. I couldn't really explain to anyone without getting upset and wanting to like grieve over my old life, because it really made me realize like how different I was to everyone else. Or well, so I thought, because really in reality we're not that different. We're all unique in our own way.
Yeah, as you've gone on, and now, how old are you now? You're
16.
16, yeah, 16. So as you've gone on over the last 3 years, I guess it's become a little bit of the norm, hasn't it, how you manage your liver condition now.
Yeah.
But when you were first presented with it in year 6, it was almost, yeah, like you, I guess it probably took you some time to understand what it actually was as well.
Yeah,
And
I think like one of the massive things that really like scared me, I was at my local hospital and I was there with my dad, because obviously my mum and dad were like rotating between staying with me, and my local hospital already talked to King's in London about sending me up there. But I always vividly remember this doctor came in and he said, in front of me, my dad and my mum was there, he said, "We found a mass on her liver, we don't know what it is." And I vividly remember saying to my mum, "Is it cancer? And am I gonna die?" And I think that moment was literally like the worst moment in my life, because I didn't know. Like, I didn't know what was happening to an 11-year-old girl. Like, especially when they say you've got a mass, like, obviously we now know what that is.
yeah,
To say that, like, immediately to that young person, that automatically is cancer. And the relation with cancer is you die.
yeah, I can imagine that was probably one of the first things that went through your mind at that time.
Yeah.
So I guess there was massive relief when they finally got you a diagnosis. But was that kind
Yeah.
of your biggest worry between that time period of when you said 3 to 4 months when you didn't have a diagnosis? Is that kind of what was running through your
Yeah, I
mind?
think the main thing was when, until I went to King's, they went, "It's not cancer, you're
Mm.
fine." Or like, well, also I wasn't fine, but "You've not got cancer. This is hopefully treatable." That's when I almost went, okay, I'm in safe hands now. I've not got to worry too much about everything. Although obviously, yes, I was still concerned because I didn't know what was wrong with me. I still had that hope
Yeah,
almost.
yeah. Gosh, yeah. No, massive change, isn't it? Complete massive change from what you were used to obviously being
Yeah.
presented with that news. So it was a challenging time, I can imagine, for you. And at year 6, obviously, then you also had to transition into high school. And so what was that like going through high school with a liver condition?
I won't lie, pretty tough. Mainly until year 9, it was more the social aspects of being away from your friends, and that's what I really missed. Not so much like the actual academic side, because until then, yes, school's important, but it's not like GCSEs and that. But obviously, however, now it's progressing, and I'm going into year 10 and 11. Obviously, I'm in year 11 now, but it's incredibly hard to keep up with the work and all the revision and stuff. And I think as well, one of the main things was I was bullied throughout school for being diseased and being different to everyone else. And to be honest, I won't sugarcoat it and say I just brushed it off, because I didn't. But it made me motivated almost to prove them wrong, that I'm more than my liver disease. Because obviously, to anyone, they think, oh, it's just fun to pick on someone about it. But I think that was mainly whilst trying to keep up with schoolwork, in the back of my mind going, like when I was sat in hospital trying to keep up with the schoolwork, in the back of my mind was, I'm going to go back to school and they're going to make fun of me for being away for a week. And I think that was always something back in the back of my mind.
Yeah, I can imagine. And how was it then when you actually did return to school? Did that kind of vision happen, or
Um,
were your friends
my
supportive?
friends were very supportive. Obviously, unfortunately, some of my friends were the ones that bullied me, so I wasn't in the best situation through that. I had a couple of close friends at the time who really supported me and understood and kind of went, "We know the situation, you don't need to explain." Like, if I randomly left in the middle of a lesson, they wouldn't wonder why I left them and think I just ditched them because I didn't want to be with them. It was because I genuinely was not feeling well.
So, Charlotte, while you was in high school, was there any kind of support that the school kind of honoured you at that time, especially when you had appointments? Would they authorise your absence, or was there anybody in school that was aware of your obviously condition and supported you throughout if you needed it?
Yeah, he's now my previous head teacher, but he was really understanding, especially because my mum was the school nurse there at the time when I was in year 6. And obviously she was at the school I went to secondary school at, but she was a school nurse. Obviously, when she wasn't there, he was really understanding and literally what said, as much time you need, we'll pay you for it. Just take as much time. He was very about being with family and being there for the ones you love and stuff. So obviously, when I then went there in year 7, he was obviously really understanding because we didn't need to explain to him. He knew the whole story. He knew what we'd been to. And now I would say they're supportive, but I feel the school's changed a lot and a lot of the teachers have left. So there's a lot of new teachers. So I think at the moment, I keep it quite hidden on obviously some of the teachers that were there since I was year 7 know and understand. And a lot of the new teachers are understanding, but I feel they don't quite have that deep understanding because obviously they haven't been there since the start almost, and they haven't been explicitly told this is what's wrong with her. Like if I say, oh, I've got liver pain, can I sit out, I don't know, PE or something because I get quite bad liver pain? And they go, yeah, but you need an excuse for it. Like you can't just say you've got pain, even though they just think it's just a random kid saying, oh, I've got pain. And sometimes they just don't quite deeply understand what's actually wrong with me.
Yeah, and what the impact of like you say, sport can do on it. Yeah, it's hard, isn't it? And in one essence, that's why we as a charity we try and support that, and we do have like education packs that can be given out. But it is a challenge when you're at school, isn't it? And trying to get people to understand. We do have a lot of feedback from young people when they go on to the next venture at university. Like it does get a bit easier.
I'm hoping as I go to sixth form, it will become a bit easier and not so many people will really ask. Because obviously, I won't have the same kind of challenges. We don't do PE in sixth form, so it's not going to be all different. And it literally will be like my 3 subjects that I'm doing. And
it's your choice, isn't it? Your subject choices. So
yeah,
it's something to look forward to. And it won't be long, by the sounds of it, that you will be heading
I think
off sixth
I was
form.
only talking in one of my lessons today. I think we've got 10 weeks from today. Then we're in May, and then our exams start.
After that's it. Then summer and starting a
8
new
weeks of
chapter.
exams, and then we're gone.
Yes, I can imagine. They like exam prep and revision is going to be your top priority for the next coming months.
Pretty much, yeah. That was what my half term was.
Yeah, as we've kind of delved deeper then into kind of how high school has been and since your diagnosis, what would you say your biggest challenge has been having this condition, and how did you overcome that challenge?
I'd probably say acceptance, probably accepting that I have this diagnosis for life and it's not going to go away, and that I'm different, like different from who I was and different from everyone else around me. Struggled massively at first being told like I couldn't do certain things that were previously literally like I did day in, day out. They were literally my life. I think I really struggled with that. And obviously, to overcome them, it was hard. But I think as I grew as a person and understood that I can still do all these other things with this liver disease, like it doesn't have to dominate my life.
Yeah. It is one of the biggest challenges, isn't it? Accepting that condition and knowing that it doesn't define who you are. It's part of you. A lot of our young people say it's a part of me, but it doesn't define me. And there are ways around it. So it's a really good one that you've brought up. And would you say like you've accepted it now?
Yes, although like there's still the challenges that come up. Like obviously when all your friends go out drinking and stuff, you go, okay, I can't do that. Like that is one of the things that I really come up and I go, okay, I can't do that. But there's ways around it. And obviously my friends, not so much in school, but outside of school are like really accepting. And they go, we'll do it without alcohol. All the people that want to go out and drink alcohol, they're really accepting and understanding that yes, I've got this liver condition and that I can't drink, or I'm basically asking for trouble.
Well, that's it, isn't it? At the end of the day, like you're already recognising that there are other alternative ways to like manage your condition, still have fun and be able to take those opportunities. And there's lots of advice out there. You're not at that level yet of university, but there's so much advice from other young people that have been to university and had to face that, like peer pressure almost of the drinking culture at uni and things like that.
So I think to the point at the moment, I've accepted that I've got this condition, but even sometimes I sit down and I go, okay, I've got this, because sometimes it can I just brush it under the cover going, okay, we've dealt with that for another day. And then when I kind of sit down and think, wow, I've actually got this, and almost the reality sinks in a bit, it really does almost go, wow. And even though I've accepted it, even like day-to-day things come up that you wouldn't think would like affect you. You think, oh wow, like this is big, as it were.
Yeah, like there's bits that pop up in life that make you think actually, yeah, that there's the impact of the condition that will
Yeah,
present itself. The way that you said about, what's your most challenging is accepting it. Like it's a journey, and the journey that you're on at the moment, like you're growing with it. And actually, it's a journey that you've really only been on how many years now? About
5 years.
yeah, 5 years. Still a lot to learn.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like there is always ways around it. It's just that communication as well with your like liver team and with us,
Yeah.
yeah, and obviously learning from other young people who have got a liver condition. So Charlotte, we've explored some of the challenges that you face. I know you mentioned with your 5 key words that you've had like opportunities. What have the opportunities you've had been since you've been diagnosed with a liver condition?
I've had opportunities with quite a few charities, but also more importantly, I think, which is one of the main things to realize, is I've had all the same opportunities I would have had even if I didn't have liver disease. Even if you're out there listening and you think your life will never be the same because you've got this liver condition, you're not less worthy, and people aren't going to look down on you just because of this. Like, you can still go out, get a job, go and pursue a dream career. Like, your liver disease doesn't have to hold you back. Well, it will if you let it. But I mean, I've also met some amazing young people through CLDF who, like, I couldn't actually imagine my life without now.
Yeah, no, that's lovely to hear. The opportunities that you are summarising then, is that literally like you have really took it on the chin that you can do anything? And that's such a good message to show to our young people. I know like charity means a big thing to you at the moment, doesn't it? I know you've done quite a lot of charity work. So you've done stuff for CLDF, haven't you? You've done some fundraising for us, because I can quite clearly remember your clarinet challenge. Do you still play the clarinet?
Yeah, I've done it for GCSE music.
Oh, did you? Okay, that's good to
Yeah.
hear.
Yeah, luckily that's all, coursework is all over and done with now, so I'm not going to worry about that now.
That's
But, yeah.
good. And then I know, and you've had some involvement with another charity as well, haven't you? That you do some volunteering for?
Yeah, I work with Mind, the mental health charity, and I'm part of the Youth Voice Network, and I help shape the work that they do. And like through that, I've managed to raise awareness for the disease and the link it has with mental health. And obviously, because it does play, like, mental health has a massive effect on anyone, and especially when you have that liver disease, I find it has a massive impact. And even though, as I said before about accepting, yes, I've accepted, and that main mental health I've overcome it. But obviously, I still have days where I'm really down, I'm really worried about stuff, and obviously that is massive because it still has a massive link with it.
Yeah, that's one of the things, isn't it? Like a lot of young people after transplant will be offered, like you say, psychological support as well, because it's such a big change.
Yeah.
So the fact that you've recognised how important mental health is and to look after yourself and your own well-being is really something to be proud of. I know that you mentioned obviously you've got quite a lot of friends now that you've met through CLDF. How did you meet those young people?
I went on breakaway in 2018, I think. So I met quite a few people on there. A couple of them I'm still in contact with. Some of them I've lost contact with. But we'll see if we message each other. It's not like anything's changed. We just don't talk to each other as much. And I met one of them at the CLDF conference as well. And I think she'd probably be my best friend out of all of them. I've kept in contact with her so much, and we're planning to meet up. She's going to drive down or something and meet up summer.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice to hear that you've actually made that connection as well for, after breakaway. So with all your support, obviously, with the charity Mind and also getting involved with us to fundraise, how important is it to you to raise awareness of childhood liver disease and mental health?
I think I'm very open since I've got that diagnosis, and as I've grown and become more accepting, I'm very open with talking about my liver disease. I mean, I'll be honest, I never ever used to be. I always used to try and hide it and like didn't want to be like known with the girl with liver disease. And I feel like it's getting more and more important to raise awareness and almost break the stigma around liver disease, especially as you get into adults, because obviously everyone think, oh, you got liver disease, you've been out drinking at such a young age and stuff. I feel like there's a lot of stigma around it. So I feel like it's very important to raise awareness and help identify that not all of liver disease is from the same cause.
I feel like you've done a really good job of that, especially when you've done your challenges as well, which we couldn't thank you more enough for. And you should be really proud of what you've done so far. Can't wait to see what happens in the future for you as well, because you've
Thank
been
you.
very actively involved, partaking in charity work and very passionate about it. What advice would you give to other young people who have been diagnosed later into their childhood?
Liver disease may be part of you, but like always remember that it will never define you. It will never consume you unless you let it. Like never stop doing the things you love, and always remember to keep your head up. Like even if it doesn't seem like it, things will get better. And it is hard, I won't deny it, but don't let it define you. Like you are more than your liver disease. You are worth more.
Thank you. So when at the moment in time, say a young person has just been diagnosed, like you were, feeling a bit lost, what would you say to them at this moment in time? Like what's the best thing that they could possibly do for themselves and their well-being?
Reach out and try and communicate with other people that have been through it, because a bit like me, I didn't think there was anyone. I thought I was the odd one out, but I actually realized there's so many people out there that are very similar to you. Like I've met people through social media that have PSC, and I've met people through CLDF, even if they've not got the same liver condition as me. They've been through the same experience. They know what it's like to live with it.
Yeah, and like you say, as you've grown older, you've realised actually, like you can still do all the normal things that you'd have done if you had not got a liver disease. There's just
Yeah.
different ways to approach things, isn't there? So
Yeah.
yeah, no, that's a really great advice. Any top tips on how to manage a liver condition in your early teens that you're now experiencing?
Be sensible and responsible. And as hard as it might be to say no to your friends and not go out with them, you might have to stand out for a bit, which obviously contradicts what I've just said about trying, you aren't different to everyone. But the last thing you want to do is make stupid mistakes and regret it. Like put your health first and put it as a priority, because there's always another opportunity to go out with your friends that might be a bit more of a sensible option and you won't regret it. But there's never another you, or there'll never be the same person as you. And go out and enjoy your life while you can.
That's really good advice, thank you. Yeah, I mean, your message, I'd say, throughout this is that your liver disease just hasn't really defined you. It's been a part of you, but it hasn't defined, who you are. And you're still, achieving with life as it is, whatever's thrown at you, and, finding alternative routes. I just wanted to ask, what has been your biggest achievement and what are your future goals?
I would probably say getting back to my horse riding again, because before my liver disease, I was massively into it. I've ridden since I was five, six. So obviously it's always been my life, as it were. I followed after my sister's footsteps. So I think when I was diagnosed and told that I basically couldn't do it, it was massive. Like I remember that day so clearly, coming out of the hospital appointment and literally just crying my eyes out, literally being told that I couldn't do this. And it was like someone basically taken like my whole personality out of me. Like I always remember that. Like I just felt so empty. But after I moved to a different consultant, they went, yes, you can do it, which I think was literally the best. Although they did say do it safely, which I didn't think really made sense, because it's not really a safe sport anyway. But yeah, I would say probably that was one of my biggest achievements, and competing again in it, and also qualifying for the championships twice on my first competition back since I was ill. And I think this was massive, because it was like, for that day, my life was normal again. And I was back to how it was. And the feeling I had showed like everyone that I am normal. I'm more than my liver disease and capable of what anyone else would. Like I was going out there competing like against all these other people that they might have had liver disease. Like nobody knew that I had this. Like I was normal again for that day. I was just like everyone else.
Able to do the sport that you love. Yeah, that is one message as well, is that although obviously, like you said, you were told by a consultant that you potentially couldn't do horse riding again, another consultant then in the future then said you could. And that is a common trend. I've had a few podcast recordings now where been present that they've been told they shouldn't really do that. But then later on, when their health has been reassessed and the condition's been looked at again, like good news has came, and it's like, actually, we've reassessed the situation and you can do that. And I can imagine that was such a great time when you got told that news.
Yeah, I think the difference in those two appointments, I came out one crying, and I think I came the other one literally skipping out of it. So happy.
So yeah, and it's a big achievement, like you say, one to manage that emotion as well, and then obviously in the long run it did pay off. Like you finally got that go ahead that you could do that again.
Although there was some agreement with my mum, the consultant, about certain limit.
You know, they're advising you the best for your liver health. I mean, we've had young people that wear protective guard around their like tummy to protect like their spleen.
Yeah,
and
I have that.
like that.
Yeah, so that was one of the agreements. Was it's called a back protector in horse riding. So it's the one agreement that I have to wear that like no matter what. And obviously that is the one rule that I go, okay, I'm not going to break that because the consequences of it is huge. And even to the point I fell off and I broke my collarbone because a horse reared up on me. And I broke my collarbone, but luckily they said because of that back protector, it saved your liver. So I think that really showed, right, okay, I've got to do this. But to be honest, they don't really bother me too much.
They do come in handy. So it's nice to hear that you've had to, utilise that and it still enabled you to do this, the horse riding that you love to do.
I think you have to weigh up the balance and go, yes, I have to wear this, but the positive is I get to do all these things that if I didn't wear it, I wouldn't be able to do.
Yeah, and you're looking after yourself, aren't you? So, but yes, thank you. It's been great to hear your journey and all that advice that you've given. It's quite a unique story, the fact that obviously you've been diagnosed later on in your childhood, so that this will be really valuable to other young people that are going through that currently. And obviously, the fact that you are doing your horse riding, even though you were told once that you couldn't do it, is such a positive message as well to others that actually there are opportunities out there in the future. It's just managing that difficult time, like you've been honest about that, how difficult it was. So I'd like to thank you for coming on today and taking part.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And sharing your experiences, as they're going to be so valuable for others to listen to.
For those that are listening in, it's lovely that you've joined us on CLDF Chatter. I am the Young People's Officer, so if you do need any support from listening to this podcast, or there's any concerns that you may have or advice that you might need, please do contact us on Hive, our online Facebook group chat, or you could email ypo@childliverdisease.org, or alternatively you can call us on 0121 212 3839, and we look forward to hearing from you.